disappears into HR, and you never see it again. And trying to engage with your staff to say, do you have a skill in this area, or do you have experience of this problem, is very, very rare. Very, very rare. And so these are the red lights that we found. Okay? In many ways, it's about not having an integrated approach and thinking in an integrated manner when it comes to bureaucracy. So, trust and collaboration, those are the main statistics there. Does that hit? Does that resonate? Is that familiar to you as such in your organisations here? Issues around trust and those findings? Yeah. Basically, I think the headline that we took away from that is that you need to have more employee input, and you need to engage with your employees on a far deeper level than people are at the moment.
Ele mostrou algumas estatísticas aí sobre a burocracia, né, as principais barreiras, né? Agora falando de confiança, e o grande problema é que não existe uma integração entre basicamente as unidades. As empresas não conhecem muito bem o potencial dos seus funcionários, né? E cria essa barreira de você criar confiança entre as unidades. Esses problemas aí em relação a superar essa questão de confiança.
Okay. So, in terms of the interviews, we also had some solutions provided. So I'm going to give you a solution here. This is from Patrick Conway. He was the Chief Knowledge Officer. And what the US Army are doing is that they are pulling together different people from across the Army to talk about problems that they face. And initially this started with procurement. And they looked at how they are buying certain items. Okay, now this may sound completely mad, what I'm about to say. So, belts. Okay, how many people got a belt on in this room?
Everybody.
Everybody, okay. So, the US Army were buying 60 different forms of belts. And they worked out that they only needed, using this cross-collaborative group, that they only actually needed 5 forms of belts. Okay? There was some tribalism, there was some regimental tribalism, so the US Marines had to have the US Marine belt because it was particular to the US Marines, etc. But they broke down the silent, and they got a group of people working together, and belts moved up the food chain to bigger equipment, and they saved an awful lot of money, okay, by having a cross-collaborative group. Now, a belt may be something very, very simple and almost insignificant, but they saved tens of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, on this belt issue. Okay, so that was an example, very simple example, of them bringing people together and dealing with something rather straightforward, but they saved a lot of money. Okay, so balancing short, medium, and long-term objectives. These were the key findings. Generally, people found they were not very effective at balancing short, medium, long-term objectives. There was a challenge to using the right metrics to measure performance. Again, I think as a non-management account, I think this word KPI is almost a set of handcuffs around businesses' necks and businesses' hands sometimes in a sense. So there's those issues. Cut in at any point if you want to cut in. And then if you move to the executive perspective, balancing the long, medium and short term, again we talked to Simon Henry at Shell, and he explained that Shell has been looking at shale gas through this scenario planning that they've been doing for 20, 30 years. They'd looked at the shale issue, and they had been waiting for the technology to catch up with their thinking. And they worked out the scenarios whereby they could extract this gas and what they needed to do, etc. But they were just waiting for the technology to catch up. The moment the technology had caught up, they already had the plans in place. And in a sense, If one takes a page out of government, like in Brazil and also in Britain, based on the government we've got at the moment, one is tempted to say, no, there's no lessons to learn from government. But in a sense, there is a lesson to learn from the military. The military engage in scenario planning, a lot of scenario planning. And the one thing that I can tell you about the Vietnam War was that there was tons and tons of what-if plans, okay? And the most crucial one, an unbelievable one, but it was there, it was fully worked out, fully costed, fully scripted, was that if the dominoes had fallen, if Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos had all fallen at once, then Thailand would have fallen. And if Thailand fell, the United States and Great Britain had a plan to invade Thailand, the bottom bit of Thailand. It's called the Kra Isthmus, and it's the narrowest point, and to hold that line. And at that point, communism would be held, come hell or high water, involving nuclear weapons if necessary. This was all, scenario planning done by the military. And in a sense, there's a lesson to be learned, not to declare nuclear war or anything like that, but there's a lesson to be learned in terms of the scenario planning that the military actually do, and also the foreign departments of most countries do. The State Department was the first in the world in 1949 to set up a scenario planning department in the State Department to plan the what-ifs of foreign policy. Foreign policy is very unpredictable, but they had this team of people led by a chap called George Kennan, who later became a professor at Princeton. And Kennan set up a small team of people, and they did a lot of scenario planning. And all their documents are now unclassified, and people like me can go and see them. But scenario planning is something that we should consider doing as part of an integrated approach to the issues that businesses now face. In a sense, scenario planning is an answer to the disruptors. Okay, to think of what challenges could come from some spotty kid sitting in a computer, next to a computer at home. Could he challenge my business? If yes, here's the scenario. So, do you want to say anything?
Precisa de alguma coisa? Porque ele está dando alguns exemplos de como tentar superar, né? Falou aqui da questão militar, que pode aprender muito com a questão do planejamento, né? De cenários, etc. E aqui algumas estatísticas que estão mostrando essa questão de como quais são os programas, essa visão no longo prazo que se tem. Alguma pergunta, alguma coisa que...
Just then brief,
Sure.
Okay. It takes long.
So then,
Please. Sorry. I think that you using for information for big companies. What about small business, like accounting and planning? You are going to talk about small business or no?
this applies to any business in a sense, because any business, be it a small burger stand, okay, or be it a large multinational conglomerate, you will be challenged by events. Okay, you will be challenged by the disruptors. You will be challenged by technology. I can give you a very simple example. What we're talking of is using the information that you have in your business to think about how your business is actually succeeding or failing, or its sustainability, and to make a decision to make that business, the information you've got, to use it to make your business more resilient. Okay? So you could be a small restaurant, and someone invented the microwave. And what did the microwave mean for your business? Now, that was a disruptor, but it was an early disruptor in a sense, but that's an example. Now, you might say that doing the accounts every week doesn't really affect that, but we would argue that having the right information enables you to react to that disruptor, be it a microwave, be it a mobile phone, etc. And that's what we're arguing through this research. When we come on in the presentation, what we believe is that you need better information for not the accounts, but for the business, as it were.
Mhm.
You use the accountancy information to inform the decision making of the business, the viability of the business
Okay.
as such.
Okay.
Sure. So, the second question you should get, but I don't think you'll get this question. So, the Commodore computer, did anybody ever see this as a child? Okay.
Yeah.
This was the #1 computer in the world. Okay. Now, the next question is, what was your first mobile phone?
Very big one.
Motorola.
Motorola.
Like a
PT
time.
550.
Another
55
Motorola.
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 Any other brand?
It was pretty much Motorola.
Motorola. Okay,
Brazil.
that's really interesting because normally we get to that within 2.
That's after.
As well.
That's
That's
after.
after. Okay.
Well
We
after.
are old.
Okay, that's
model. First one was the bigger.
okay. So, in general, in this presentation that I've given until now, so this is the first. What generally happens is that people go Nokia by #2. Okay, second guess is Nokia, and if you think of those two companies, Commodore, all the kids in Western Europe had a Commodore computer in about 1984 through to 1990. It was the largest computer company in the world, and it's gone. And Nokia was, one of the world's largest manufacturers of mobile phone, and it's gone. Okay, and those are just two examples of the sort of VUCA world in which we live. If you think about contemporary affairs, then we go to this. Okay, we've got a VUCA world, we've got the Queen saying we want to go for Brexit, we've got in your country this problem, yeah? You've got that, and shortly, very shortly, there's a big thing going to happen this year that is going to add to the volatility. If it's not already adding to that volatility, these two guys, and the fight that they're going to have to become president of the United States. So this is the VUCA world, okay? It's a mixture of politics, it's a mixture of economics. If you think of Brexit, it's a mixture of social issues. If you think of the problems that you've encountered, what I heard on the radio was very much, this was driven by a social movement as much as anything else. So in the middle of that, we have to make money. Business has to survive. How do we do that? And if you look at the disruptors, we believe that there's been a rise of disruptors. So if you think of Kodak, Kodak invented the digital camera, okay? But it didn't do anything with it. It sold it to the Japanese. Kodak is no more. Uber. Some people have already mentioned Uber to me, and we talked about it today. Uber is caught in social strife. It's everywhere. I've got it on here. I use it in London. The last time I was in New York, I saved a fortune. And taxi from JFK to Central Manhattan is about $70. With Uber, it's $25. Yeah, $25. So, although I'm keeping money in my pocket, Uber is causing trouble. And also, that logo is quite threatening. I think if you think of a 1980s or 90s sci-fi movie, that's kind of something from Terminator or something like that. It's a very threatening logo. So we believe that what's happened over the last 10 years is that the world has become more volatile, and you've had the rise of disruptive technology. And technology now moves at a tremendous pace. If you think of Uber, it was nowhere to be seen 3 or 4 years ago. Now it's global, and it's even causing trouble here in Brazil. But equally, it's enabling people to make money and to save money. So these disruptive technologies will continue to affect business, and they will continue to pose challenges to business. Kodak was probably one of those companies that we thought would last forever. Do you want to say something?
Quer que eu... Eu queria só estar apresentando a visão, o contexto inicial, né, que a gente chama de VUCA, que é um contexto volátil, né, incerto, complexo, ambíguo, que é o ambiente, né, cria com novas tecnologias. Por exemplo, a Volátil criou a máquina digital, mas não utilizou, vendeu, então perdeu o mercado, sumiu. Então ele está colocando esse contexto de complexo, né? Que nem no Brasil a gente sabe que é problemas políticos, mas não só no Brasil, é mundial, global. Então isso está mostrando a visão complexa que tem no negócio. E ele mostrou, pode dizer, Jorge, ele mostrou que isso aqui é baseado nesse relatório que é juntando os pontos, né? E mostra exatamente como se comportar no ambiente complexo, o VUCA, né? Então está dando esse contexto para a apresentação. Ok? Tá bom assim? Tranquilo?
Tá.
Beleza.
Só um comentário, uma coisa que eu nunca tinha visto, você falou do Uber, né? Eu de trás para frente nunca tinha visto que é rebu.
That is make a joke if you read it from the other side, rebu.
Yeah, what you said about the appeal of the logo made me think here, but it's first time I see it written backwards, at least in Portuguese, it refers to a word, I don't know if it's Indian origin or something.
Okay.
Rebu
Okay.
means mess, confusion.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Big
that-
So
confusion.
that backwards
Yeah.
means mess. Okay.
Yeah,
Come,
big
I'll use
confusion.
that.
Yeah.
I'll use that.
Aquela pessoa está criando rebu, creating a rebu is confusing.
Okay.
Anyway, it makes
That's
sense.
quite ironic. That's quite ironic. So, SEMA is not just about accountancy. SEMA is about business and helping
Intelligent
people.
reporting. Intelligent reporting.
Intelligent reporting, but also intelligent engagement. And one of our straplines, one of our logos, is helping people and business to succeed. So we don't sit in London thinking about accountancy regulation alone. We think about that, but we also think more widely and more globally about the challenges that our people, management accountants, people in our family, as it were, face in terms of doing their daily job. And management accountancy isn't accountancy management accountancy is not accountancy for the audit. Management accountancy is accountancy for the business. And what we're trying to do in our mission going forward is move the world from a wider, a narrow perspective to a wider perspective of accountancy for business. So, one of the reasons we have quite an ambitious research program, which is not only research that we do in-house, but research that we commission across the world, research that we farm out to academic institutions and academics like Barry. We look at the world through various lenses. And the lens that we're looking at the moment is the business model and the challenges that business faces. So, we came forward with a methodology to say business is not experiencing a period of normality and stabilization. It's experiencing a period of volatility. It's experiencing a period where the games, the rules of the games are changing, and it's not business as usual. It's moved on. It's into the unknown as such, in terms of how technology and the rise of the disruptors is affecting the day-to-day business functioning of every business in the world. Today, you can make a business decision that made sense. Tomorrow, because something else has happened in the world, be it economic, social, political, or technological, that business decision ends in failure. That's what happened to Kodak. Okay? So, it's business as usual no longer exists. We therefore commissioned this piece of research to look at how business was coping, to look at the issue around integrated thinking, which has become a solution in many ways, but it's a narrowly adopted solution at the moment in time. So we wanted to take a stock take, as it were, on where integrated thinking was in the business mission and how business was dealing with the challenge it faces. Do you want to say anything at this point?
Ok. Você quer? Não, ele está explicando a questão do CIMA, né, que o CIMA não é focado na contabilidade tradicional, digamos assim, mas na contabilidade do negócio, né, para influenciar no desempenho das organizações, né. E aí ele fez esse estudo, né, para entender como quais são as necessidades, né, e como colocar a contabilidade nesse contexto de mudança, de um ambiente volátil, onde não existe mais aquele negócio de negócio como usual, né? Coisa que vai se repetindo, né? Você vai se adaptar àquele ambiente, isso continua e você vai ter sucesso com aquela fórmula, né? Time que está ganhando não se mexe, mais ou menos aquela história, né? Então não existe mais esse business as usual, como business, como negócio comum que você sempre fez, não existe mais, você tem que se reinventar. E aí como é que funciona esse ambiente? Então ele tem esse estudo, né, Join the Dots, para entender exatamente quais são as dificuldades e como lidar com esse ambiente, né, e para a profissão contábil. Né. I tried my best, I'm not sure.
Okay, so the work that we did, we sent out a survey, and it was a hand-picked survey to 300 businesses around the world. That survey was sent to the C-suite, so the chief executive or CFO of the company, and they completed those surveys. We had 300 returns. We then followed that with a series of in-depth interviews with a range of people from around the world, and you'll see their names. So we had 9 in-depth interviews. The interviews were informed from the initial findings of the survey, okay? And we asked people in those interviews, and as part of the survey, we asked about the quality of their management information. We asked about the systems and processes in their organisation that were used. We asked whether their organisations took an integrated approach, and we asked them to tell us about their cultural and people issues. Okay, so those were the headings that we looked at.
Esse relatório que ele está se baseando, né, o Join the Dots, foi feito através de uma pesquisa com 300 executivos, né, que é C-level, são executivos de topo da organização, né, e além disso foi suplementado por essas entrevistas com grandes empresários, né, grandes pessoas de grandes empresas, né, que deram também a opinião, uma visão mais qualitativa, além da visão de 300 pessoas. Foi abordado vários tópicos que ele mencionou, como cultura, os efeitos do ambiente, né, dessas mudanças nesse processo. Então, isso é baseado num estudo profundo com 300 CFOs, né, contadores gerenciais, CEOs de grandes empresas.
So, the results you're going to see are from this global survey. Okay, it was very, very high level. 300 returns may sound a small sample in one sense, but when you take the companies involved, the Unilevers, the Glaxos, etc., they were high-level people in some of the world's most global companies that we went to. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to fly through the results as such, but I want you to read them. Javier might translate some of the English, but to see whether you recognise what came out. So the headlines are these. These are the 5 headlines. Okay, so there's an issue around organisations are struggling with bureaucracy, they're struggling with trust, they're struggling with taking a long-term view and using the right metrics to develop a long-term view. There's the issue of data, okay, which is posing a huge challenge. And then finally there's the issue of the decision-making skills, the actual skills of the leaders at the top of these organisations to make informed decisions. Okay, so there's a competency issue, okay, then there's a technology issue, the rise of technology in terms of data. There's an issue around using the right metrics, which in a sense is using a management accountancy function to develop the right metrics and to apply them to the business to make the business more sustainable and viable. There's an issue around trust from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top. Trust is just not there. There are issues around trust, and if a business can't trust its employees and a business has this issue of trust, then decisions have been badly made. So, for example, being an accountant and being not an accountant, I can probably use this phrase, how many people use KPIs? But in trust, what we found in our research was that a team, a department within an organisation have their list of KPIs, they achieve them, that's it, we're done. We've done our KPIs for the year. Yeah? And we found that was happening all over the world. Organisations are setting big KPIs, those KPIs are translated into personal KPIs or team KPIs, and then it starts to fall apart. Then, although the organisation might be achieving its KPIs, it's not really progressing forward because there's a trust issue around those KPIs. Okay? I'll come back to that. And then there's bureaucracy. Now, in conversations with people here in Brazil, I'm told that these two are the most important two. So these are the two that I've focused a little bit of the presentation. Do you want to say anything?
Okay. So just a lot of things.
Sorry.
It is so well, I can be embarrassed to
No,
reply.
or is everybody with me?
It's okay. Ele está mostrando os 5 pontos chaves que eles acharam nessa pesquisa que eles fizeram, né? Então tem os 5 pontos que vocês estão vendo ali, que é a questão da superar a burocracia, né? E agilizar o negócio, as decisões, né? Criar confiança, né? E aí agora ele brincou, né? Dizendo que aqui no Brasil, né? Ele falaram para ele que essas duas coisas são muito difíceis no Brasil, superar a burocracia e gerar confiança, né? Então foi essa parte final que ele riu, né? O terceiro ponto ali é ter uma visão mais de longo prazo, né? E definir...
Inclua essa também entre as duas.
Decided to add that the third one as well to the Brazilian context, the long-term vision, né? E como medir isso, né? Você tem as métricas muito focadas no curto prazo, né? Então tem essa dificuldade de medir o impacto no longo prazo. A quarta ali em função do volume de informações, né? Você tem muita informação agora e como transferir isso para ter uma visão estratégica, né? Porque antigamente tinha aquela ideia que a gente tem pouca informação para tomar decisão, agora o contrário, né? Você tem muita informação, como tratar isso para pegar vários conjuntos de informações e colocar no ambiente estratégico, né? Essa é uma barreira, né? Uma dificuldade que existe. E a outra questão é para desenvolver as habilidades dos gestores sêniores, né? A questão de liderança dentro da organização. Certo? Então ele comentou um pouco sobre isso, ele vai agora explicar um pouco melhor esses itens, essas barreiras que os 300 executivos, né? No começo ele falou, parece pouco 300 executivos, mas foram 300 executivos de empresas muito grandes, né? Como Unilever,